We're at one of those scary points in the timeline of human history where the future is not certain for people. Occasionally, the whole world goes into a kind of flux where massive changes happen. There's a social battle that's going on between going forward to something totally new and going back to what was, with fear and reactivity raging on both sides. These are times when the political sphere is so unstable that it is shifting existence for citizens daily, giving them absolutely no sense of control over their life experience. Human society functions like much more of a web than most people really understood before, and they find this out the hard way when a crisis in one place on Earth ripples outward, causing crisis in their own lives as well. And there is a massive crumbling of all of the things that people thought that they could rely on, things that offered them things like security, stability, confidence, trust, and guarantee. And one thing is absolutely pervasive the world over: uncertainty. People do not thrive well in a state of uncertainty. Uncertainty implies that nothing is predictable, and people are wired to need a certain level of predictability. Without this predictability, when you don't know what is coming next, people slip into chronic stress and anxiety. Interpersonal conflicts increase, and maintaining relationships becomes harder. People become frozen in a kind of decision and action paralysis. Many people become hyper controlling, trying to anticipate and prevent every possible negative scenario that they can think of, which leads to burnout. And people cope with this distress that they feel through a myriad of unhealthy coping mechanisms. Because uncertainty is such a tormenting experience for us as people, in today's video, I'm going to reveal to you a question that you can ask yourself in times of extreme uncertainty, which has the power to turn things around for you, as well as some other, let's call them tips, for facing times of extreme uncertainty. The question that you can ask yourself in times of extreme uncertainty is, what would I do if a sense of certainty would never come back? If going forward things were always just as uncertain as they are today? I know that at face value, this question sounds odd. You would think that the right thing to do would be to find ways to create a sense of certainty, not to lean into uncertainty, but let me tell you why this question is so powerful. This question is going to put you in a place where you must let go of all sense of guarantee regarding outcomes of what we put our energy into. Why is this so powerful? Because it reveals to us what matters so much to us that we can put energy into it no matter the outcome. It gives you a sense of purpose, meaning, and direction in the storm of uncertainty. And this is a wildly stabilizing force. It's like having a North Star shining for us to navigate through a storm on the open ocean. On top of this, we're no longer playing a game solely for the future. We're playing a deeper game that is far less vulnerable to challenges. Asking this question puts us directly in touch with our deepest values. And values are an incredible thing because when we are conscious of them and are living according to them, they make us very, and I mean very resilient. Asking this question also reveals something else: what we would vote for with our thoughts, words, and actions, and behaviors, and decisions, regardless of what the outcome is. We vote for the future in this life we are living. We vote for what we want to have be the reality, and we vote for what we want to have happen. But in this time space reality, we vote with our thoughts, our words, our decisions, and our actions. If you would like to dive deeper on these concepts, then you can watch 2 of my videos. The first is titled The Secret to a Happy Life, Values, and the second titled Cast Your Vote. Really spend some time answering this question for yourself without the influence of anyone else. But for the sake of your understanding, I'm going to give you 2 examples of answers submitted by 2 people who were kind enough to let me use them. Okay, for the first example, when I see this question, my first thought is, I can't rely on the future or place my happiness in some guaranteed future, so my power exists much more in the present moment and extracting my desired life experiences from here and now. I do still want to work towards something, so I will set more realistic goals that are more short term. Like, for example, if I want to feel a sense of adventure, I won't try to plan something that's super far out, like a big trip to Asia. I would be looking at what I can do in the next few days or this week that would give me a sense of adventure. So my answer to this question would be I would live mostly in each moment. I would make sure that when I'm walking on the beach, I am totally there, feeling the sand under my feet, smelling the ocean air, feeling what it feels like emotionally to watch kids play in the water and build sandcastles, really noticing all the colors of the rocks and seashells, feeling the warmth of the sun against my skin. I would keep all my options open regarding where to live. I would keep learning Icelandic. I would make all my decisions knowing that things could change at the drop of a hat. So I would be very cautious and conscious about what I'm committed to. I would make sure that I'm making decisions not to fall into short term thinking. This means I would put some energy into my retirement plan, but also a backup plan in case that retirement plan no longer exists. I wouldn't wait to go on my trip to Mexico until things are certain with the borders. I would go on my trip next week and fly back through an airport that is smaller, where the border agents are more relaxed. I would limit the amount of time I'm listening to the news and doom scrolling to a certain time of day and a certain amount of time. I would put more energy into giving my dog quality experiences. I read this thing that said that your dog may be your best friend for a period of life, but you are their best friend for their whole life. And I'm realizing that it is uncertain how long she will be on this planet. I want her to have good memories, and specifically good memories with me where she knows I love her. So I'm going to do things to enrich her life experience rather than just taking her along on things that enrich my life experience. Also, something that's immediately obvious is that what I care the most about is enjoying these moments that I want to have with other people. I would seek out and create positive shared memories. I'd approach every day with the intention of crafting experiences that I can look back on with joy, whether that's a walk on the beach, a shared laugh, or a meaningful group activity. I would intentionally create these moments week by week through things like community meals or spontaneous games. I want to seek out new people too who share that same desire for meaningful present moment connection with each other. My life would become about curating and living the kind of memories that I want to remember, not someday, but now. I'm going to tell you that if she does this, she will be looking back on her life happy about the way she spent it, no matter how things end up turning out. This is example number 2. If a sense of certainty would never come back, I would stop putting my energy, dreams, and hopes into the future. I would mostly make it about whatever I'm doing right here and now and what my motivation is for doing that. It wouldn't be about the outcome anymore, but it would become about the process. The process is what should be fun, exciting, energizing, motivating. And when this is the case, it doesn't matter as much for me how things end up. Now, when I say this, I don't mean that I would only do easy, comfortable, or enjoyable things from now on. Rather, it would mean getting myself to a place where everything I do feels right for me to be doing, no matter how it goes. What this means is that what matters most to me is that I derive a sense of meaning from everything that I'm doing. When I think deeper about this, I can see that I want to explore the world more because I don't care whether exploration really turns out good or bad. I just love exploring. Also, I would stop dedicating so much of my life to career because what I really value is time with my wife. It kind of shocks me that I spend so much time doing something that I would not even really see in my life review after I die. I need to rethink my life here because if I'm looking at this, if there are no guarantees regarding my future goals, the life that would make me happiest would be to explore new places with my wife. So I'm going to make it a point to do more of that in a really intentional way. I may even consider changing my job around so that our lives can revolve around doing that together. Knowing her, this would make her so excited to hear this. In fact, until I did this exercise, I was the one who was arguing with her about the importance of future security and who wasn't willing to make our lives about adventure. That's cute. Now, just because in these 2 examples you saw 2 people for whom that question led them to, I would be much more in the present moment and less about what I want to create in the future, that doesn't mean that everyone's answer would be that. In fact, mine isn't. If I sit here and I ask myself this question, where it leads me is doing more of what I'm doing here in my career, but specifically for an outcome that I want to vote for, regardless of whether it happens or never happens. So even if I'm asking myself this question, I'm really actually going to continue to play the game for the hope of something in the future. That's why this has to be such an individual process when you're answering this question, because that answer is going to be very different for us all, because we all have very different values and a very different life purpose. Now, for the sake of making these times of uncertainty even more livable, here are some additional suggestions. 1, make your life as flexible, adaptable, and fluid as possible. Knowing what matters most to you is going to act as that North Star to direct and stabilize you through this flux experience. But responding to times of great uncertainty calls for you to be adaptable, psychologically flexible, and to make your life as flexible as possible. This is a time to really have an open mind. It's a time to diversify. It's a time to organize your life so you are able to make very fast decisions and make very fast changes. This is a time for multiple backup plans for every plan. Two, grace the vulnerable feelings that come with uncertainty with your unconditional, focused presence. Uncertainty causes us to feel a flurry of emotions and sensations, usually in the range of anxiety, terror, tension, doom, powerlessness, loss of control, disgust, even, hopelessness, helplessness, depression, frustration, anger, rage, confusion, and grief. We usually try to desperately distract ourselves from them and to get out of and away from them. But we need to take the exact opposite approach. We need to let the emotions sound through our entire body and allow the information that is contained within these emotions to surface to our conscious awareness. This will make you far less reactive to the uncertainty and far more conscious. Because of this, you are far more likely to make the right decision and take the right actions for you specifically. You can do this through meditation. I have a very good meditative process that I can highly recommend for this. It is called the emotional experiencing process. You can learn how to do this process in my video that is titled How to Do the Emotional Experiencing Process. 3, make the following conscious: what I can control and what I can't control. When things are uncertain, we try to control everything because we think that doing so is going to help us to avoid pain. But we're in a situation where there is a lot that is not within our control. Ironically, because this poses the biggest threat, those things we can't control, this is actually where we put the vast majority of our focus and time and energy. And as a result, we end up in terror and feeling totally disempowered. We've got to see the doors that are closed in order to recognize the ones that are open. So you need to take the situation that is causing you uncertainty and clearly define what you can control and what you cannot control. Literally make a list. With the stuff you can't control, you need to set it aside. Let go of it until the day that something that you can control and do about it becomes obvious to you. With the stuff, however, that you can control, put your energy and time and actions there. Follow through on those things. 4, keep coming back to the thought whatever is happening might supposed to be happening. Can I remain open to seeing why? When we are being thrown into a situation where it feels we're headed towards a future that is unwanted, we immediately feel like this shouldn't be happening. This puts us into resistance to what is happening rather than leaning into what is happening so that we can really work with what is happening. And I mean effectively. All this does essentially when we think something shouldn't be happening is it puts us at a war with what is. This question that I want you to be pondering is essentially to accomplish the exact opposite. It helps us to lean into uncertainty with an attitude of openness and curiosity toward what we don't yet know or see. Even if you're a scientist at heart and not spiritual at all, you can at least acknowledge that you cannot know 100% if what is happening is supposed to be happening or not. So you must remain open to the possibility that what is happening is supposed to be happening. There are plenty of things that we do not understand the bigger picture and purpose of because that bigger purpose and picture is revealed only in time. This reminds me of a really great story of a Chinese farmer, which reveals this truth. In the story, a farmer's horse runs away. His neighbors express sympathy. After all, this is a terrible thing that shouldn't have happened, right? But the farmer replies, maybe so, maybe not. We'll see. The next day, the horse returns, and when the horse does, he brings with him several other horses. Oh my God, that's lucky. The neighbors are now excited. They feel this is a totally wonderful thing, and it should have happened. After all, it's very deserved, given that he deserves some good luck after the pain of initially losing his horse. But the farmer just says, maybe so, maybe not. We'll see. So later, this farmer's son, while trying to tame one of those wild horses, is thrown off and breaks his leg. The neighbors are concerned. After all, they see that this is something that shouldn't have happened. I mean, it's something really unfair. After all, he is far too old to work his fields alone. But the farmer again responds, maybe so, maybe not. We'll see. Finally, soldiers arrive and try to conscript this young man into the army, but they spare the son due to his injury. The neighbors are totally relieved. They suddenly see the son breaking his leg as a divine intervention. Again, the farmer simply states, maybe so, maybe not, we'll see. The story is written to emphasize that it's impossible to know the true nature of an event at the moment that it happens, nor is it possible to know whether it led somewhere or will lead somewhere good or somewhere bad or both. What seems like bad luck might eventually lead to a positive outcome, and what seems like good luck could have unforeseen negative consequences. The takeaway is that becoming overly attached to wanted or unwanted outcomes is not a particularly effective approach to life, that embracing the uncertainty is potentially a better approach. Let go of your need for things to be a certain way. When we know what we want and what we don't want, we tend to become very attached to the way that we think things should be and have to happen. But this world is littered with stories where the thing that somebody wanted and needed most came to them in the most unexpected way, including through the very experience they thought would take them the furthest away from what they wanted. Become curious about where this life is going to take you. If our life were like a trip down a river, you will notice that most of us spend our whole life trying to control the current of that river. You don't consciously know where the river's going to take you. You only know where you would prefer for it to take you. But in order to embrace uncertainty, you got to let go of the idea that you can control the river itself and be curious about where that river of your life is leading you. 5, realize that we do not fear the unknown and discover what it is that you actually fear. You're going to hear this saying a lot when it comes to uncertainty. I fear the unknown. It's a popular scapegoat in times of uncertainty. No one actually fears the unknown because no one would know what to fear. We only begin to fear what we do not know when we think that we do, in fact, know what bad thing the unknown could contain. For example, I may say that I fear the unknown when I'm talking about changing my job, but the truth is, in fact, that I'm afraid that there is a potential that I might like my new job even less than my current one. If this is the case, what I'm really afraid of is being stuck with a job I don't like. So, you want to ask yourself, what painful or scary thing is it that you are afraid that the unknown contains? And then face those fears directly. Again, control what you can control regarding those fears and put some energy into finding ways to decrease your fear of those things that you fear. 6, seek out healthy stress reducers. Uncertainty sends us into fight or flight mode that never ends. The body cannot sustain this. It wasn't designed for chronic distress. You need to allow your nervous system the things that help it to come back into a state of ease. This includes eating a diet that calms the nervous system instead of stimulates it. Look, it may be really tempting in times of uncertainty to eat junk foods because you find them comforting, but those foods are only, in fact, adding pressure to a body that is already under pressure. Remember that the things that reduce your stress may be different from what reduces someone else's stress. So look to design your perfect cocktail of stress reduction assisters. Just to give you a little bit of an idea of what I mean, here's a list of some ideas to start with. Go for a walk barefoot somewhere in nature. Exercise, write, take a hot bath with Epsom salts, watch cute or funny video clips, get a massage, do progressive relaxation techniques, take a yoga class, listen to a guided meditation, swim in the ocean, dance, create a bedtime routine that helps you to wind down, make gratitude lists or lists of positives, listen to stress reducing music, cook, spend time with animals, drink tea, attend a social activity, pick up a new hobby, break down tasks into small, manageable steps, make lists, watch a movie. The sky's the limit. 7, consciously spend time each day in the present moment. Pretty much everyone will tell you to focus on the present when you're afraid of the future. This is not easy to do when it seems, pretty stupid when it feels like the threat is on the horizon, charging right for you. The way around this is to realize that you're not being asked to just stay in the present moment all the time. You can dedicate time and energy to the things you can control that decrease your fears regarding the future. At the same time, uncertainty has this way of robbing you of your life. It causes you to start living your life entirely in the future, most especially in the possible worst case scenarios that may exist in the future. This causes life in the here and now to completely pass you by. It also tells your brain and body that something bad is happening right now. By consciously spending time during your day only in the present moment, your brain realizes that nothing bad is happening in the here and in the now. And it starts to take in the full experience of whatever is happening in the here and now. The key here is that wherever you are, no matter what you are doing, for example, sitting on a couch at home, or doing a hobby of yours, or spending time with friends or family, or while you're driving, whatever it is, you're going to give all of your attention to it, being fully present, experiencing what is occurring through every one of your senses. When your mind wanders, don't get upset at your mind. Just redirect it back towards what's happening right here and right now. If you want to learn a great exercise, which is going to help you to do this, you can watch my video that's titled Teal's Favorite Exercise for Getting into the Present Moment. 8. Seek support and connect. Times of serious uncertainty put pressure on social connections and cause many people to isolate. But the reality is that what is needed is the exact opposite. Stress is greatly amplified if we are isolated with no help. Uncertainty is so much more tolerable if we have someone to go through that uncertainty with us and help us with the things we need help with. This means go to and seek out those people who you can trust and who you can share your thoughts and feelings with. Now, I don't want to gaslight you here. It's not like connecting with just anybody is going to make you feel better. Some of you would be listening to what I just said and they're like, yeah, you haven't met my mom, or most of the people I know, I don't feel that way about. Obviously, there are certain people who, if you get around them when you're in a state of anxiety, they're going to just make everything 10 times worse. But what this means is you need to expand your social network. You want to connect both with people who are going through the same struggles as you are, as well as with people who seem to have mastered what it is that you're currently struggling with. Brainstorm with people. Move closer to the people and places that offer you the most support. Seek out advice. Find professionals who can help you with whatever it is that you're facing. Get help with practical things. Ask for help and accept it, no matter whether that help is with small things or with big things. Think of it like this: on the river of life, which is taking you somewhere uncertain, how much different would your experience of that river be if your raft was hitched to someone else's raft and you were floating down that river together? Social connection and support can provide something solid when nothing else is solid. Life is like a journey into uncharted waters for us all. You are not alone in this respect, so don't ever let your pain convince you that you are alone in the uncertainty of your life. Let's all see where this ride down the river is taking us and what it has in store for each one of us and for us all. Have a good week.